Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Okay. Remember how we used to have to be at jobs at like 9 in the morning?
Yeah.
It was awful.
Today we're recording at 10 a.m.
We're losing it.
A collective mess.
I have not brushed my teeth.
Nope, me either.
I'm in the clothes I wore to bed. I just snuck a bra on underneath because this is a video episode.
I'm only wearing a bra because I'm wearing a white t-shirt.
I'm
Yep,
not wearing a
same.
bra.
And I'm only wearing makeup because it's tattooed to my face.
I have my bag of McDonald's ready to go as soon as we're finished.
Hi.
And 3 beverages.
Yeah.
I'm very thirsty in the morning.
Yep.
But the reason we have to record this early is because today I am flying to Minnesota so we can do our live stream.
Which will
live
be long
show.
since over by the time you hear
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Because we are very far ahead right
Oh, yeah. Post plug.
Woo! It
That was fun.
awesome.
Wasn't that fun?
We had a great time.
I'm having so much fun. This is
Whatever.
fun.
That's marketing 101, folks.
Always retroactively market. Always be retroactively marketing.
Arba.
ARPANET. Okay.
Who are we?
Oh,
Shit.
fuck it. I'm
I
Kenyan.
jumped in. That was my fault. Sorry.
Lucy.
Amanda, whatever. I don't care.
It's too
So we
early
had-
to have an identity,
It's 10:15.
let alone care about it.
11:15.
It's too early to have an identity. I came downstairs today at like 9:50 and Bill goes, "Oh, you're up early."
Oh, no.
That's
my
the dynamic
mail
in this
person,
house.
my mail deliverer
Mhm.
comes usually around like noon,
Mail
and I am
deliverer.
always just in my pajamas with my cup of coffee in front of my like fully huge window door. Which
Oh my god.
Fucking creep.
My coach was recommending that I like build community in my neighborhood because like white people are pretty bad at that a lot of the time. We're very individualistic. So she was like, get to know your mail carrier. And I was like, okay. So
I know mine.
I
Hi,
know you
Roxanne.
do. I waited for him looking in the window.
Wow.
And then when he approached, I burst open the door
just to say hi.
just to say hello and introduce myself. He fully had headphones on, wanted nothing to do with me.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
like, community building. Burst
Check.
out of your home and terrify your mail carrier.
Accost the mail
Check.
carrier. I know my
Check.
UPS guy, Zach, and my mail
Jesus.
carrier, Roxanne.
Wow.
Well, also, I haven't lived here that long, and I've only lived here during a pandemic where it's like, leave the goods at the door and step back 100 yards.
And wear a mask so you can't see most of my face.
Yeah, and I put on a plague mask to gather my packages from the front stoop. So I'm
Just
giving
tuck
myself
them in the sleeves of your robes.
giving myself a fraction of grace. That's it.
Oh my god.
Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Apropos
Yeah.
of nothing. So we have a very special fan pick this week brought to you by Taylor Almonds. I would like to have some salted almonds.
Oh.
It's your jam.
I do love them.
You do love salted almonds.
Album.
Almonds and the chipmunks.
And Taylor has selected the topic of Louisiana Crimes.
Oh, Justice Butterfield Crimes.
Wow.
My morning voice is very deep.
It's husky.
Good morning. Good morning.
No.
So anyway, we got a fair and valid critique from a listener email. I put it in your folder, Amanda. You haven't seen it yet, probably.
Okay.
About how like doing Southern accents or Appalachian accents to denote someone being unintelligent is not
Incredibly
cool.
common. Yeah.
Yeah, which we definitely have done and do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to say that it is a separate thing.
Justice Butterfield is a fucking celebration.
Yes.
The judge.
She's a
Yeah.
judge.
Yeah. Justice Butterfield is not stupid.
No.
And also, we just happen to sound really stupid
That's our fault.
attempting a Southern accent or other accents.
Mm-hmm.
So that will happen a lot in this episode, not making fun of the accent, making fun of ourselves for being so bad at it.
I mean, the only accent I do more terribly than Justice Butterfield, who I love, is my British accent.
Yeah,
Whoa.
exactly.
Top of the muffin too, yeah?
Need I say more?
I think that people use the Minnesota mom accent too
Oh, yeah.
to denote certain things.
Absolutely.
So-
that's what putting on an accent is, and it's
Yeah.
always
I'd argue we sound the dumbest in our
Regular
our
voice
natural accents.
We sound the dumbest when we're being our true
Ourselves.
selves.
So I just wanted to flag that up.
Totally.
Okay, so what is our wine crime pairing for 10 in the morning?
God.
Louisiana Crimes.
It's coffee, you guys. It's fucking coffee. I'm not drinking wine at 10 in the fucking morning. I love this show. I love our listeners
I
so
love
much.
wine.
I love wine, but I'm just not going to do that to myself for any of you. I'm not going to do it.
That's for vacation only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
am not on vacation.
No. So I just want to take this opportunity to let everybody know that we do have new varietals available as the Gals wines. And we've got a new rosé, and we're going to get a little more. Again, as we're recording this, it's early, but I believe they will be available by the time this is released. But we don't have, it's like just making its way to us now. So I'm not going to give a detailed description. But on our website, there will be plenty of information about the new varietals. We're getting a new white and a new rosé. We still have the Gals Red blend that is the same blend from previous launch. And the white wine specifically is extremely, extremely, extremely limited. We only have 20 cases of it. It's only going to be available as part of the 3-pack because this is such a unique small batch, like gorgeous
She's
wine.
special.
Yeah, she's real special. So you're definitely going to want to jump on that because when that one's gone, that one is gone and likely
Yeah.
never coming back. So head to our website, wineandcrimepodcast.com, and go to that wine tab and check out the Gals wines, which are incredible. And we are loving this partnership with Blentique that we've been doing for the better part of the last
The wines are
6 months.
so good.
They're extraordinarily good. So snatch them up. Go to our website, snatch them up. That's the plug. I'm not drinking wine today. I'm drinking coffee. Deal with it. I love you. Let's do this.
I already had my coffee. I already had my morning BM. Now I'm drinking sparkling water.
Oh.
I'm drinking water, orange juice, and fountain Coke from McDonald's. So you know it's going to be a good day.
Yep. It's going to be a good poop coming down the pipeline.
Oh, let's get to that sponsor break. But first, Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for Louisiana Crimes?
There's no psych. Okay.
All I want to do
So
is go back to New
Louisiana.
Orleans and eat crawfish.
I know. I love New Orleans so much. I want to live there.
Next sentence. I've only been to Louisiana once when we were in New Orleans for CrimeCon a couple years ago, but it's a very cool and unique state. And also, New Orleans is amazing.
Incredible.
So many rock shops, so many wig shops. Remember when we got stuck in that rainstorm and we took shelter in a wig shop and left with wigs?
Hundreds of dollars of wigs.
A lot of wigs.
And that it was the best thing ever. And I love those wigs.
And you got your daddy fan.
Our New
was a
Orleans
good
trip
day.
was the greatest week of my life.
Yeah,
It should
the
be
Museum
annual.
of Death. Hi. So, Louisiana is a state in the deep south and south central regions of the United States. It is the 19th smallest by area. It's quite a small state.
That's true.
And the 25th most populous of the 50 United States.
Wow.
Louisiana is bordered by the state of Texas to the west, Arkansas to the north, Mississippi to the east, and the beautiful Gulf of Mexico to the south. Jesus Christ, Ray. He just launched himself onto my desk.
Well, is the pink pen there?
Yeah,
Yes.
you always sound surprised, but
And
he
it
does
happens
it
every day.
time.
I know. I just love it.
Jesus Christ.
Rascal.
Ray!
A large part of its eastern boundary is demarcated by the Mississippi River. We'll get back to that.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah. Louisiana is the only U.S. state with political subdivisions termed parishes, which are equivalent to counties. Didn't think about that. The state's capital is Baton Rouge, and its largest city is New Orleans, which lies on roughly the same parallel as Cairo, New Delhi, and Shanghai.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want to
That
know what
seems-
parallel I'm on.
Wait,
Not
Cairo, New
Cairo.
Delhi, and Shanghai? Is that true?
That's what Encyclopedia Britannica says.
I have to look at a map. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, most maps that we're used to are skewed in
A
some
mess.
way
Yeah.
Right.
because
Yeah.
the globe is round.
Yeah, to flatten
Because
it,
of
it just
white
it's a
supremacy.
big old mess.
Fun fact about Baton Rouge: it supposedly got its name, which translates to red stick, in 1699. French explorer Pierre Le Moyne d'Iberville, got it, wrote that he saw a pole covered in animal blood along the Mississippi River bluff. Mississippi River bluff.
And named the
Red pole.
town.
Red stick, Baton
Red
Rouge.
stick.
The pole
Yeah.
served as a marker signifying the division of land between the Bayou Gula and Humas Indian tribes. In 2018, Louisiana was ranked as the least healthy state in the country with high levels of drug-related deaths and excessive alcohol consumption, while it has the highest homicide rate in the United States since at least the 1990s, so plenty of fodder for this episode, I would imagine.
Yeah. And a lot of that is attributed to voter suppression and racism.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Much of the state's lands were formed from sediment washed down the Mississippi River, leaving enormous deltas and vast areas of coastal marsh and swamp. It's a very wet state.
She wet.
She's
Humid.
wet down there. She's
Oh,
damp.
so humid. You'd step outside and as a glasses wearer,
yeah.
not easy to walk around.
She fogs right up.
She fogs.
Those
Sir, your
pre-mask
fog.
days.
Oh, yeah, it was
Yes.
pre-mask.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
So these contain a rich southern biota. So biodome.
Okay.
Typical examples include birds such as ibises and egrets. So large, creepy birds. There are also
Predatory.
Yeah, very dinosaur-like
Yup.
birds.
Velociraptors.
Yeah.
big bugs
Slightly
too.
evolved.
Mhm.
Big beaks.
Big beaks.
Oh, no.
There are also many species of tree frogs and fish such as sturgeon and paddlefish.
Cool. I've caught those in Animal Crossing.
I was just going to say, I had a dream that I caught an octopus in Animal Crossing, and then a little bubble popped up and it said, you've beaten Animal Crossing. Like, you won. And I was
then
like,
you
what?
sobbed yourself awake.
And then I ran to Blathers, donated the octopus, and I turned it off, never to be turned on again.
Remember when I taught you how to run? the
Yeah,
game?
I was playing for like 2 months before I realized I could run.
Just walking.
I was just walking around my island. It took me forever. Anyway.
Kenyon has left the chat.
I just got an Amazon package delivered. That's why Josie was barking if you heard it. So I can just run
Amazing.
down, see what that was about.
No, we can move on.
We'll move on. Also, alligators with an estimated 2 million wild gators and
Gators
another
are pests.
They are
pests. And another 300,000 on alligator farms.
Do we need alligator farms then? If there are
Gator
2
bites.
million?
They eat a lot of alligators.
Well, yeah, couldn't we,
It's a food
like, to
source.
control the population, not be farming them?
I don't know. Maybe 2 million wild gators is a perfect
Not
number.
enough. It's not enough.
We don't know. We're not ecologists.
You're right. We're not ecologists.
Well, I think farming them for that purpose is just more sustainable.
That's fair.
Mhm.
They're like pigs and cows.
Yeah.
In more elevated areas, fire is a natural process in the landscape and has produced extensive areas of longleaf pine forest and wet savannas.
Wow.
These support an exceptionally large number of plant species, including many species of terrestrial orchids and carnivorous plants.
So cool. There's like weird shit going down there.
It's Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's
Walking
lots of
in the
weird
garden
shit.
district, I was like, how does a leaf get that big?
Yeah.
One
Oh.
leaf.
How is
Yeah.
moss hanging from trees?
Right?
Yeah.
It's-
Sir, you're moss.
Kind of mind-blowing.
Oh.
Lots of petroleum and natural gas, even when Amanda isn't there. Yes, I wrote that joke into my notes. Sugarcane and cotton grows very well here too, so lots of plantations and therefore lots of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
So, on that note, the descendants of enslaved Africans make up nearly a third of Louisiana's population today. Racial conflict marked the development of the state from the American Civil War period and Reconstruction through the Civil Rights Movement of the 1950s and 60s, the guarantee of suffrage through the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and ever-increasing African-American political involvement, however, have helped move the state toward being a more racially egalitarian society.
Still a long way
Still
to
not
go.
perfect.
Mm-mm.
Long way to go,
As
but
with the entire country.
Yep.
yes, for sure. In addition to African cultural influence, particularly West African, the state has a complex multicultural and multilingual heritage influenced by a mixture of 18th century French, Haitian, Spanish, French Canadian, and Native American, in particular the tribes of, please forgive me for not pronouncing these correctly, Alabama, Coushatta, Choctaw, Chimimaca, Huma, and Tunica Biloxi. There is no official language of Louisiana, which I thought was cool. As of 2010, about 91.2% of the population spoke English, 3.5% spoke French, and that includes Cajun and Creole.
Mm-hmm.
3.3% spoke Spanish, and 0.6% spoke Vietnamese.
Cool.
So lots going on there.
Yeah.
And I think that is so cool. Also, the food. Oh my God.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Beyond just the gator bites.
We need
The
to go
shrimp.
back.
The shrimp.
Best shrimp. Best, like, seafood.
The
ever.
gumbo.
Yeah. There's nothing beats, like, Creole-style seafood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. I need to go back. I need to go back.
No.
So I learned that the major difference between Cajun and Creole in terms of food is that Cajun uses tomato-based sauces and Creole does not,
Cool.
Interesting. Okay.
for the most part. Okay, so this is from Encyclopedia Britannica as well. Admitted to the Union in 1812 as the 18th state, Louisiana commands a once strategically vital region where the waters of the Great Mississippi and Missouri River system, draining the continental interior of North America, flow out into the warm, northward curving crescent of the Gulf of Mexico. It is not surprising that 7 flags have flown over its territory since 1682, when the explorer René-Robert Cavelier, Sieur de la Salle, placed a wooden cross in the ground and claimed the territory in the name of France's Louis XIV. So it was first named La Louisiane, meaning related to Louis. The consequent varieties of cultural heritage run like bright threads through many facets of the social, political, and artistic life of the state.
I didn't realize that there was like also that period of like Spanish control.
Yeah, we'll
And,
get
like-
to it.
Okay.
Yeah, the Spanish had it, as far as colonialism goes.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
the Spanish had it
Occupied
first.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went to the French, kind of back and forth, blah, 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 blah. We'll get to it.
Mhm.
Right now. The Louisiana Purchase was kind of bonks. Like, I forget how enormous that territory
Yeah.
was. There are photos on the drive.
Yeah.
Once part of the French colonial empire, the Louisiana Territory stretched from present-day Mobile Bay to just north of the present-day Canada-United States border, including
Yeah, I
us.
Like more than half of Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's
Like all of it.
half. It's half of
The
modern-day
country.
United States.
Yeah.
Right.
And that includes a small part of what is now the Canadian provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. It was fucking enormous. So if you go to the drive, this will be on the blog. There are pictures. Like there's a picture of the entirety of North America, and the Louisiana Purchase is just like
Like the middle
big old chunk.
It's gonna take
third.
this middle part.
It's
Yeah.
This.
huge.
It's huge.
And when you
The
consider
fucking balls on white people.
Seriously.
right?
This is fine, right? They just close their eyes and start scribbling. Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, just we'll have those people just move out of the way and we'll just take that.
You either
scooch.
scooch or we'll murder you.
Or die.
yeah.
Scooch or die. Oh, ugh. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
This is
the
our
gist-
legacy, white folks.
The gist of the Louisiana Purchase is that Spain controlled the area of about 828,000 square miles beginning in 1762. In
So
17
many square miles.
it's
just
a lot
like-
of square miles.
Yeah.
In 1795, Spain and the United States signed the Pinckney Treaty that allowed the U.S. to use the Mississippi River and New Orleans to transport their goods. So Spain was just like, well, it's still our territory.
You can
But you
drive
can-
through it
You can use the river to do whatever you're doing.
for our economy.
Yeah, because obviously the Mississippi and New Orleans were integral to
Everything.
the entire economy.
Uh-huh.
Then Napoleon got jealous of that sweet, sweet sugar trade and acquired the territory from Spain in 1802. And there was some, like, drama there. Spain was supposed to keep this deal, like, a secret, but totally didn't. Like,
Someone at a pub spilled the beans.
basically.
Some guy. It's always
Over
some
tapas.
It's always some guy. Some drunk guy over tapas.
Narc. Like a year later, that shady bitch Napoleon changed his mind and was now open to negotiations. Like, we can talk about it. So Thomas Jefferson sent Robert Livingston, U.S. minister to France, to negotiate the purchase of just New Orleans and then also some portions of the east bank of the Mississippi and also the rights to freely navigate the river for U.S.
That's
commerce.
amazing that he was like, we just want the good bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they could see how incredibly
Right.
valuable.
Yeah. But it
'Cause
was
it's
like
if
he was
you have
trying
New
to like
Orleans,
get like a discount.
1,000%.
Yeah, he just wanted the premium, the goods.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He wanted Hulu without the ads.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
So he had given like Thomas Jefferson had given Robert Livingston like $10 million to kind of play with, see what he could do. And in April 1803, France was like, "How about you just take the whole thing for like $20?" And the U.S. was like, "Well, that's technically violating our Constitution, but what the hell?"
Can't
they
say no to
signed-
that deal.
So they signed the
Minnesotans
deal.
love a discount.
Yeah. But actually, okay, so they signed the deal and doubled the size of the U.S. for $15 million, which is
So cheap.
nothing.
Yeah.
$20. So that boils down to less than 3 cents per acre.
My God.
It was a steal.
Literally.
Literally a steal.
Literally
A double
stolen
steal.
land. Yeah.
Yeah. A
Scooch or
triple
die.
steal.
It's just...
The
It's
Spanish, the French, and then the U.S.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
It's
Yeah.
so painful.
The highest point in the state is only 535 feet above sea level, and parts of New Orleans are actually about 7 feet below sea level.
Oh,
Yeah.
sir.
That makes me
Very
nervous.
uncomfortable.
My butt puckered.
Yeah, I do not want to live under the ocean.
The southern
Oof.
coast of Louisiana in the U.S. is among the fastest disappearing areas in the world.
Mm-hmm.
This has largely resulted from human mismanagement of the coast. Shocker. Artificial levees block spring floodwater that would bring fresh water and sediment to the marshes. Swamps have been extensively logged, leaving canals and ditches that allow salt water to move inland.
Mm-hmm.
Canals dug for the oil and gas industry also allow storms to move seawater inland where it damages swamps and marshes.
We ruin everything.
We ruin everything.
Katrina, is our fault.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
For like a number of reasons.
For every reason.
Yeah.
For all of the reasons that I'm describing
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Rising seawaters have exacerbated the problem, also caused by humans.
Mm-hmm.
Some researchers estimate that the state is losing a landmass equivalent to 30 football fields every day.
What?
How? How are people still living there?
I don't know. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina eroded an additional 73 square miles of the Louisiana coastland.
Oh,
There are many proposals to save coastal areas by reducing human damage, including restoring natural floods from the Mississippi.
They could just do what
Proposals.
Manhattan did and just pile up garbage and then build land like that.
I think they do.
yeah.
No, I know. But isn't that crazy to think about?
I
Manhattan
mean,
is like twice as wide as it used to be from just like human garbage.
Isn't
And
there
then
like
they
a
built
whole
skyscrapers on.
Mhm.
Isn't there like a whole island somewhere around there that is just a dump? Like there didn't used to be an island there.
Probably. Sounds right. I mean, we shouldn't say that about Staten Island, but
Oh, we just lost 10 listeners. We know you're there. We love you.
they don't have internet there yet.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I have nothing against Staten Island. It's just
Clearly,
low-hanging
that's not
fruit.
true.
I looked at an apartment there once. It was not a good situation.
Did it have internet?
It had the dark web, probably.
Oh, nice. I just think of
Nice.
Staten Island as the Wisconsin of the New York coastline.
It's fine. There's a ferry. That's cute. Pete Davidson is from there.
That's true.
We've gotten derailed. Back to Louisiana.
Fun fact to offset all of what just happened.
Whew.
The world records for both the most people twerking simultaneously, which
Love
was
that.
at 406, and the most volunteer hours worked, which is 77,019 by one Viola Cochran.
Wait, so
Wow.
worked by one individual?
Yep. They
Wow.
were both set in Louisiana, and these honors were in no way related.
I love it. I love it.
I want to see 406 people twerking simultaneously.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there is footage of that somewhere.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, got to talk about the flag because it's weird. So the flag features a cute mother pelican and her 3 cute pelican children. And speaking of pelicans, the brown pelican is the state bird.
Okay.
And then when you take a closer look, you may notice fucking blood coming out of her chest.
is the
Yeah.
flag on the
Described as a
drive?
sign of-
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. described as a sign of the state's willingness to sacrifice itself for its citizens.
Wow.
So the design goes back to medieval times when people believed that pelicans fed chicks with their blood. So this is
that's
supposed to
not
show the
accurate.
pelican tearing at her own breast to feed her children her blood. The blood is actually a remarkably big deal, at least to one narc 8th grader in 2010, and this is from Wikipedia. During the 19th century, it was traditional in Louisiana flags and the state seal for the pelican in her piety to have 3 drops of blood on her chest. In later years, the tradition on both the state flag and the seal have been haphazardly followed, maybe because it doesn't look that great.
It's a little creepy.
It's
Little creepy.
odd. The blood isn't lined up with the 3 pelican baby mouths either. So it's like one is getting all the blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not very fair.
It's clearly the
It's not-
favorite child.
Yeah, it's the one that survives.
That's the New Orleans of the state. Baby
So-
New Orleans.
Baton Rouge is pissed.
Baton Rouge is the one all the way to the right.
Yeah.
Not a
Baton
drop.
Rouge, Red Stick has enough blood.
Red stick.
Okay, so basically, as time went on, some of the seals and the flags didn't have the blood, which was noticed by an 8th grader at Vanderbilt Catholic High School in Homa, which brought this to the attention of his state legislator. In April 2006, the Louisiana state legislature passed a law which specifies 3 drops of blood to be depicted on the pelican in both the state's flag and the seal.
Just an 8th grader demanding blood.
Yes. Literally, yes.
I mean,
We all know.
Damien Faye.
We know that 8th grader.
Yeah.
Kyle
Yep.
Green.
I know. Yeah. We all know.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
I think he does listen.
I think so.
I'm really excited about your bachelor party.
Oh, my God. Okay, so I'm going to close us out with some Cajun slang.
Okay.
The first one is a shout out to Amanda. Cher
Oh.
means sweetheart or it's like a term of endearment.
Oh, like Cherie.
Yep. So
Oh,
most of these
cute.
come from French.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The letter T, if you put a T before someone's name to imply little, as in petite. So T Kenyon, T Amanda, T Lucy.
Okay.
I like it.
Sussy means a little something extra.
Ooh.
Sussy. Minu means here, kitty. Minu. Minu. Isn't that
Minu is
cute?
a very cute name for a kitten.
That is a cute name for a
My
kitty.
little Minu. Cuillon. Cuillon.
Mhm.
Am I saying that right?
Croissant?
Couillon. Couille means balls. Like,
Ooh.
couille.
Cooey sack.
Mhm.
Well, couillon means a rascal. Ball sack.
Okay.
If you say come see,
Comme ça.
come here.
Mm.
So come see, even if there's nothing to see.
Mhm.
Nothing to see here.
Envie means hunger. So, for example, I've got an envie for some gator bites.
That's all. That comes from French. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bobbin. Bobbin? It's like a poop face, like a poopy face. She made a big bobbin when she found out they were out of gator bites.
I mean, once this coffee hits, I'm going to make a big bobbin. I'm going to be bobbing for apples.
My in-laws say skank face instead of stank
Stank face.
Skank face.
But
I've heard all.
They say it so often that now Zach and I have started to say skank face.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make that skank face at me.
I love it.
Skank face. Okay, this was my favorite one. Go to bed means get out of here.
Get dressed. Call a priest.
Call a priest. Go to bed.
Can we please make call a priest merch?
Yes.
Yes.
1,000% yes.
From our high as fuck special thanks.
Yep.
Call a priest.
Call
Go
a
to
priest
bed.
cell phone cases.
Get dressed. Call a priest pop sockets.
That would be good.
Grand bead. Grand bead means a big clumsy man. I am married to a grand bead.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can cook though.
He's incredible.
He's not that clumsy,
Grand
actually.
bead.
He's not clumsy in the
Grumpy.
kitchen or the bedroom.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you that off the air. What he did to me the other day. Oh my God. It was not comfortable for one of us. Okay. Make the veya. Veya. Let's go make the veya. Means spend the evening talking with friends.
Cool.
So on Thursday night, we're going to make the veya.
Yeah, we are.
Pommy means to laugh or cry so hard that you can't catch your breath. So what Kenyon does on pretty much every episode.
Yep. The wheezing is my favorite.
To slow down the TV or to speed up the TV means to turn up or down the volume.
Love that.
Nope.
Speed
Hate
up,
that.
Speed up
That's
the TV.
very confusing to me.
I love that.
No.
And another great one. Watch the slap means I'm about to slap you. Watch the slap.
Watch it.
So a lot of these are kind of crossover with Creole slang, but a lot of the Creole comes from Haitian, and I just didn't feel comfortable with a lot of those pronunciations, so I went with the Cajun. So yeah, there's some Cajun slang for you,
Awesome.
and that's my seg.
Cool.
Very, very awesome. Okay, ignorant question here. What is the difference between Cajun and Creole? Creole is the Haitian French.
Yes. So Creole is related more to the Haitian West African Black culture, and Cajun is more descendants from French Canada.
Okay.
So
So they both have French influences, but different.
Yeah.
different background.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to
It's
know.
very interesting.
But honestly, their culture, it's so intertwined. Like there are a lot of crossover both with the food, the language, all
Right.
that stuff. But they just kind of came from two different areas. But I just think it's really, really fucking fascinating. I also watched a couple of YouTube clips of like people with Cajun accents, like Bayou, like deep. Oh my God.
Love.
Some
Very
are
cool.
really difficult to understand, even though they are speaking English.
Yeah.
The accent is just fucking
It's
gnarly.
wild.
I love it.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably do Cajun crimes at some point.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see that happening.
So we can just if we do Cajun crimes, can we just share recipes for 2 hours?
Yes.
I mean,
and then-
I will have nothing to add, but I'll go, that
Google
sounds
them.
good. I'll add that to my list, and then there's no
Never
list.
do it. Yeah.
I just want
Never make
I
it.
just want gator bites.
I have a fun fact about Bourbon and Bourbon Street.
Ooh.
So Louisville and New Orleans are, they're like kind of sister cities. There's a lot in common. They both have the fleur-de-lis as their symbol and like French history and whatever. And Bourbon is called Bourbon because it comes from Bourbon County in Kentucky. And so the bourbon barrels they just had the word Bourbon or Bourbon County on them, on the barrels, as they were being shipped down to New Orleans, to the ports. And so when they arrived in New Orleans, all these barrels of booze said bourbon on them. And so that's what they started calling it instead of whiskey. And that's what Bourbon Street comes from.
Is bourbon just it's a type of whiskey, but like
It's a type of whiskey, and there are different rules for it, but it has to be from Kentucky,
Got it.
I think.
Like champagne.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
Yeah. There we go.
Let's just go with it.
The bourbon barrels thing and Bourbon Street is true.
I like that. See, the Mississippi River doesn't go through Kentucky, does it?
No, it's the Ohio, but it got down there somehow.
The interior of North America.
Love it.
Are we ready for macabres?
Never. So
Probably
let's not even try.
It's really gruesome.
Great.
And I did it to myself. It's not even a fan pick. I am who I am.
She woke up and chose violence.
Literally, yes. So, Around 8:30 p.m. on the evening of October 17th, 2006, the New Orleans Police Department received a call from an employee of the Omni Royal Hotel reporting that they had discovered a body on the roof of their parking garage.
Ooh.
Upon arrival...
Is this the
Lucy, yes?
case from Unsolved Mysteries?
This is covered
Oh,
in.
okay.
No.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
what I was
Similar but
thinking of.
different.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
fucking bonkers.
That case is bonkers. That did not take place in New Orleans as far
Okay.
as I remember. But yes,
yeah. Okay.
similar vibes, although this case is not a mystery.
Okay.
Okay.
Just gruesome.
Great.
Great.
Much preferred.
So, found this body on the roof of the parking garage of a hotel. Upon arrival, police inspected the man's body and immediately determined that he had either fallen, possibly been pushed, or jumped from the hotel's roof and died on impact. The distance from the hotel roof to the parking garage roof was 5 stories.
Ooh.
When they began searching the body for ID, they found something extremely troubling. A note in the man's front pants pocket that read, quote, "This is not accidental. I had to take my own life to pay for the one I took.
Oh my God.
If you send a patrol to 826 North Rampart, you will find the dismembered corpse of my girlfriend Addie in the oven, on the stove, and in the fridge."
No.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Nope.
I got chills.
Along with full documentation on the both of us and a full signed confession from myself, Zack Bowen.
Bye. Whoo, that's
I'm just gonna
creepy.
slowly back away.
Also in his pockets were army dog tags and the keys to the apartment described in the note. Officers were immediately dispatched to the address, and what they found was a scene beyond anyone's worst nightmares.
Oh my god.
So
Hit me with it.
I've had my morning.
My body is
Coca-Cola.
ready.
I'm ready.
Hit me with it. God. That's a true crime fan right there.
Mhm.
I shouldn't laugh. This is horrible. This
Oh, it's
poor
awful.
woman's
It's
murder.
awful.
The air conditioner was blasting, keeping the apartment cooled to refrigerator-like temperatures despite the warm weather outside. I did read somewhere that it was set to 60, which isn't that cold.
Yeah, but if it's really hot outside,
Yeah,
they're
it can
it's working
feel-
hard to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
that happen.
Right. It was a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Eerily, the walls of the apartment were spray painted with dark messages such as, quote, "I'm a failure," and instructions that someone should contact Bowen's ex-wife to tell her that he loved her after he just murdered his girlfriend.
Okay. A lot to unpack here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Also, we had a creepy neighbor once, and Zach helped him carry something into his house, and there was
Don't like that.
spray painted stuff on the walls and a shrine at one point and a pot of water just rapid boiling on the stove with nothing else happening.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I have a friend here who used to live in a house, and in the basement, I forgot the details, but the gist is in the basement there was some sort of column, like an old like a chimney or some
support?
sort
Oh,
of
okay.
chute, and all the way up in this column, all the way up through the house, there were symbols etched.
Ooh.
Somebody used to live down there, and they were deep into something. They were receiving messages, and they etched all these symbols everywhere.
That's a pass from me.
Yeah.
No. You are not getting your security deposit back.
No.
No.
You have cursed the house. You do not get your security deposit back.
This
It's
column
in the
was
lease.
structural.
Yeah.
My house is cursed because Corey smashed his toe a few years ago when we were putting on the front porch, and his toenail eventually turned black and fell off. And
Never came back.
one night he just decided to light it on fire, the toenail that's separated from his foot.
So he
And then-
kept the nail?
It had happened that night. So it fell off. He lit it on fire, and then when it just burned, the fire burnt out, and then he goes, "I'm gonna curse our house," and he threw the charred, blackened toenail up into like the rafters of the not quite yet finished porch, and it's still there.
You did marry a grand Beatty.
Yeah. You two are definitely well matched.
Yeah.
That's for
Love
fucking
is
sure.
real.
Yep.
I
There's
still
someone
have
for everyone.
I still haven't decided where to bury his gallbladder. It's still in my freezer.
Okay, what's next in your case?
Well, what's next in my case is not going to make that any better. But,
Great.
Well, it'll be a pile on.
Okay.
One message on the wall, similar to the note in Bowen's pocket, instructed police to look on the stove.
Hate it. Hate that.
And in a pot on one
It
of
was
the
a pot
burners.
roast.
That's it. Just fed the neighborhood. Case closed.
You wish.
Oh, God damn it.
In a pot on one of the burners was a severed human head, and it had been charred beyond recognition, but later was attributed to Zack's girlfriend, Addie Hall.
Oh, God.
A pot on another burner contained the body's hands and feet.
It was in boiling water? Or was it
was
just
in-
cooking?
Well,
Well, we
by
will get
itself.
to it.
Okay.
When police looked into the oven itself, they found a large roasting pan containing pieces of
Nope.
arms and legs,
Nope.
which
Nope.
had also been cooked.
Nope. 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 Nope.
But, I have
Nope.
so many questions.
Amanda.
Nope. You know,
By
sometimes when I'm
themselves?
really stressed, I just come up here and just
No, not by
smell my candles.
the Serenity by
By
Jan.
Jan.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at this woman's horrible murder.
No.
I'm so uncomfortable. That's what is happening right now. So, the horrified officers also noticed that there appeared to be seasoning.
that was my question. What? But was it okay? So they're seasoned. Were they cooked with anything like carrots, onions?
Roots and tubers.
You almost made yourself throw up.
Yes.
Yes, other vegetables.
I saw one report that said that there were other vegetables like carrots and onions.
So the intention presumably was to eat it.
I think the intention and probably the execution. I think there was some consumed. I think Zack did eat some of it.
Okay.
Amanda.
I have left the earth.
Amanda's reaction versus Lucy's reaction. That was my question. Yeah.
But so the hands and the feet and the head, were they in water or were they just
That I don't know.
simmering in their own juices?
That I don't know.
Do we?
Specifically.
We don't need to know.
Cooking.
You
Trying to
don't
paint-
need.
Trying to
You
paint the
don't-
picture.
No,
Some-
you don't need a picture painted. It's clear. It's clear on its own.
It's not clear enough.
Some
Not for me,
level
Mike.
of cookery, advanced-ish cookery had been undertaken.
Okay.
When they opened the fridge, they found the body's torso wrapped in a trash bag.
Oh.
When news got out of Addie's incomprehensibly gruesome murder and Bowen's subsequent attention-seeking suicide, friends of the couple were in a state of horrified disbelief.
It's very dramatic, all of it.
Yeah. According to those who knew them, Zack and Addie had a tumultuous relationship. But like they also, it was pretty codependent, and it was very, all or nothing kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So they both drank pretty heavily and would often get into screaming fights. Addie accused Zack of cheating on her. We don't know if that's true or not, but it probably is. They were kind of both pretty like big partiers in New Orleans. To some outsiders, it seemed just like a situation where Addie's temper would flare up, and then the couple would like reconcile, but nobody seemed to like think that there was abuse happening, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was mostly situational after they'd been drinking, and of course alcohol makes you.
Yeah, it just seemed like they were in like a toxic, shitty relationship, but it wasn't like
They weren't like physically violent with each other as
Right.
far as people knew.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But the fights were loud and drew attention, and like neighbors called police, and like the fights were intense. But yeah, it didn't seem like he was an abuser.
Right. And obviously we know abuse comes in many forms.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just
Well, he ended up murdering her. So like,
yeah.
I'm not. I'm just saying this is what people believe
right.
the
Exactly.
situation to be. So nobody seemed to think that she was in danger.
Sure.
Just that it was like a shitty relationship and they should probably fucking break up.
Mm-hmm.
So the couple had met in 2005 when they were both 27 years old and working as bartenders in New Orleans' French Quarter. At first, their relationship had simply been flirtatious, so they were both like outgoing and charming and like kind of, free spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Addie was an aspiring poet, and she was pretty well known around town as just kind of like this. There are pictures of her on the drive. Like she's got these cute, I didn't move them over there yet. I will. She's cute. She's got like star sunglasses and, she's living her life.
Just a creative spirit.
Yeah, she's in her late 20s bartending in New Orleans. Like how fucking fun does that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they eventually began casually dating, but only a few weeks into their relationship, Hurricane Katrina hit.
Mm-hmm.
And Addie invited Zack to stay with her to like weather the storm and get through the storm.
Mm-hmm.
And then their relationship kind of quickly grew into something more. So what started as kind of casual, suddenly they're like living together, going through
Right.
this really intense
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. And then Zack and Addie both actually enjoyed, if you can say that, the weeks following Katrina. First of all, the French Quarter was relatively unscathed because it's a wealthy district. So their like, home was fine.
Right.
They didn't have electricity, but they lived by candlelight in Addie's apartment, and they would like barter with neighbors for things they needed. And it kind of felt like a camp, like an urban camping thing. They're like, it's like an experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people,
Literally died.
yeah, I'm just talking about these two people
Right.
and their experience, which was cushioned in a lot of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
They also began caring for the stray cats in the neighborhood and gathering with neighbors around a large communal bonfire that they built in the street.
Mm-hmm.
They even continued bartending. So they set up like a little makeshift operation on the street and served cocktails to people who came by.
Love that.
So yeah, it was like a fun trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If police officers walked by, Addie would flash them to just be like, woo! Like,
Ish.
we're partying.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just trauma sussy.
Yeah. So the couple's, quote, colorful survivalism attracted media attention, and they were featured in a New York Times profile of people who had decided not to flee in the aftermath of Katrina despite having the resources to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Would not recommend
Mm-hmm.
but they were like, as a couple, they were profiled in the New York Times as like, look at these two kids having fun.
Making the best out of it.
So, in fact, they enjoyed the post-Katrina scene so much that they struggled with the return to normal life when conditions in the city improved. And suddenly they had to, like, just go back to paying bills and going to work and whatever. But they decided to remain living together as a couple and move into a new apartment where they would both be on the lease instead of just Addie's apartment. So they found this place at 826 North Rampart Street, which was located above a business called Priestess Miriam's Voodoo Spiritual Temple.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
But the charmed early days of their love were quickly fading.
It wears off quick when you move in together.
Turns out.
Let me just be real clear about that.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I just don't have any questions about anyone's bowels, habits, any of those things.
Not a mystery anymore.
Not a single mystery to be had.
At least you have more than one bathroom.
Yeah, that helps. That helps.
That is fucking necessary.
Oh, our relationship would not survive sharing a bathroom.
Yeah.
It simply would not.
When Corey and I moved in together, we were also living with our friend Jake. So it was me and two dudes and one bathroom.
We lived with another couple in Boston. So it was two couples and one bathroom. And honestly, it was fine because we were young and I didn't have IBS yet. But
Times have changed.
it was fine for a while until Zach and I both got food poisoning. And then it was like a bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Oh,
Situation.
it was bad. Anyway,
Hot
okay.
lava.
Look away.
Okay, so back to this couple. So according to those who knew them well, both of their easygoing, free-spirited natures were concealing some deeper pre-Katrina trauma.
Not fun trauma.
Yeah, they had both suffered from PTSD. Addie had been a victim of childhood sexual abuse and then of a string of abusive relationships as an adult. And so before Zach, she had been wary of entering into another relationship with a man because of her past experiences. But then with Zach, it started casual. And then it just kind of like Katrina just kind of accelerated everything. And then it kind of happened like without her planning too. Like when you are like, I just want to be single for a while. And then you inevitably meet someone the next day.
Totally.
Yep.
So she had also been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was often pretty inconsistent about taking her medication. And I'm sure like that had to do with her drinking as well, because probably a lot of meds, like you're not supposed to drink heavily on them, and she wanted to.
And like if you're drinking every night and you just kind of get drunk and forget to take your meds.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably helps contribute to the inconsistency for sure.
Zach, at 18 years old, had met and fell in love with his ex-wife, Laura, who was 10 years older than him. And so he got married really young, like at 18 or 19. And they married, had 2 children. He enlisted in the military because it seemed like the best option to support his young family. He then spent several years serving in Kosovo and Iraq, including time at Abu Ghraib.
Ooh.
So around the time he finished his overseas tours and was discharged from the army, his wife left him and took the 2 kids with her, which is a very common thing. I mean, like they got married really young, one, and then, most of their marriage, she's at home alone with the kids. He's serving overseas.
Yeah, that's really
They're both
hard.
growing up. Well, I guess she's older, but whatever. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
So it seems that the heightened experience of Katrina had allowed both Zach and Addie to forget some of their past troubles for a short time, and then they both found it extremely difficult to adjust back to normal life afterwards. And so they both began drinking more heavily than usual and regularly using cocaine. Soon they were fighting constantly, and friends wondered why they didn't just break up. On October 4th, 2006, Addie went to her landlord to ask that Zack be taken off the lease because he had cheated on her and she had made the decision to kick him out. She wanted to keep the apartment. She wanted him off the lease.
Mm-hmm.
But the landlord denied her request, claiming that he didn't want to be involved in the dispute, and the conversation kind of ended there. She left frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And the landlord was just like, figure out your shit. I don't want to be involved in your relationship drama.
Which, I, for the most part, am not pro-landlord in, any way, shape, or form. But there's probably legality to...
About one tenant.
I'm mad at my boyfriend.
Right.
Here's the story I'm going to tell you. To protect both parties on the lease,
You'd
you can't just
probably
go...
need both parties to come
Exactly.
and say, or agree. It
So
sounds
that's
he-
one of those situations where I'm like, okay, I get that the landlord's not just gonna take the other paying renter
I
off
would have
the
done
lease
the same thing in that
without
position.
Yeah.
more than just that's kind of fair.
I feel like I wasn't there, so I don't know the conversation. It sounds like the landlord was maybe more dismissive than that.
Sure.
Whereas the landlord could have said, that's fine, but he needs to sign this.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't just take him off the lease, but if he agrees to it,
Yep.
then fine.
But
Right.
it sounds like he was just I'm not fuck off.
Figure it out and
figure
leave
it
me
out,
out of
yeah.
it.
Well, he
Yeah.
also probably was sick of them as tenants.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of drama. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But sadly, this conversation with the landlord was the last time that anyone besides Zack would see Addie alive.
Oh my God.
So the details of what happened next are very well documented because, as police discovered upon a more thorough search of the apartment, Zack had left an 8-page confession letter.
Gotta love a manifesto.
In the pages of Addie's journal detailing the minutia of his crime.
So we're just gonna further violate her by writing this
it in her journal.
fucking journal.
I know, I thought that too.
Yeah, that's...
So he strangled Addie to death around 1 a.m. on October 5th, after which he sexually violated her corpse.
This guy is all over the place.
Yes.
Ugh.
The next morning, he got up and went to work. When he returned home, he moved Addie's body to the bathtub and dismembered it before meticulously cleaning the apartment. He obviously did not know about luminol.
Mm-hmm.
Her remains would stay in the apartment for almost 2 weeks.
I was
Well,
going to say, that is 2 weeks between her death and his death.
While Zack went about his life as usual, going to work, he's a fucking bartender.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Meeting up with friends for drinks, socializing.
And nobody's like, where's...
People were asking. Yeah,
Okay,
so we will
okay.
get to that. But friends who saw him during this period did not suspect that anything was wrong. In fact, he seemed in better spirits than he had in some time.
God, I hate that.
Ew.
When they inquired about Addie's whereabouts, he told them that she had left him and moved back to North Carolina. And this somewhat surprised people because Addie loved New Orleans.
And didn't even say goodbye to anyone.
anybody.
I'm not buying it. I mean, clearly I know that's not what happened.
I'm
not buying it.
Check the stove.
Oh, no. Call a priest.
Something tells me she's in the oven.
No.
But at the same time, it did seem sort of within her character to just impulsively move without notifying anyone because she was impulsive. She was a free spirit. It's possible. If
Right.
if somebody was like, well, Kenyon she just upped and left, you'd be like, no,
No.
she fucking didn't.
No,
Call
she
a
didn't.
priest.
Do you know how long it takes her to pack to
Yeah.
go for 1 week to Minnesota?
It's
Just
not.
your meds alone.
It's
Yeah.
a 48-hour process packing.
Yeah.
But Addie, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, according to his written confessions, Zack had decided to cook Addie's body to make the remains easier to dispose of.
Yeah, by digesting them,
That's not...
sir.
He wasn't thinking clearly.
No.
He also repeatedly burned himself with cigarettes to punish himself for,
Okay.
quote, all the ways he was a failure. And for
Okay.
the fact that he felt no remorse for the murder.
He felt remorse for not feeling any remorse?
Yes.
No.
No.
No. No.
That's his diagnosis.
This
'Cause
guy
something's
is
going on here.
Something.
Well, definitely PTSD.
Right, that we know. I mean, I guess left
I don't know. I'm not
treated,
a
so
doctor.
much can
Yeah.
happen.
I think we would need an actual psychiatrist or psychologist
Right.
to actually study this man.
Wow.
And,
And unfortunately,
probably
we
him
can't because-
alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way to know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's so bizarre is how he had friends. He had a social life.
Right.
He had a job.
A network of support.
So
Yeah.
do sociopaths.
I know.
And a diagnosis, at least to some extent, which
Yeah.
indicates he likely had access to some services.
Through the military. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Was he diagnosed with PTSD?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
But like he served 2 full tours.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe even more. I think I know 2 of for a fact. So I don't know.
Wow.
The final pages of his confession in Addie's journal read in part. Can you imagine if I read 8 pages right now?
Ugh, I'd be upset.
Then I would turn to alcohol before noon.
Quote, halfway through the task, I stopped and thought about what I was doing. The decision to halt the first idea and move to plan B, the crime scene you are now in, came after a while. I scared myself not by the action of calmly strangling the woman I've loved for 1.5 years and then desecrating her body, but by my entire lack of remorse.
This just isn't
That
adding
is
up.
the scariest fucking thing I've ever heard.
I don't buy any of this.
The calmly part, I can't.
I've
Mhm.
known for forever how horrible of a person I am, ask anyone, and decided to quit my jobs and spend the $1,500 cash I had being happy until I killed myself. His words. So that's what I did. Good food, good drugs, good strippers, good friends, and any loose ends I may have had. I didn't contact any of my family, so that'll explain the shock. And had a fantastic time living out my days. It's just about time now.
Mm-mm.
This just he's putting on this air of being so self-aware that he feels remorse, that he doesn't feel remorse, that he strangled her so calmly. This is just it's creepy. It's
very-
pathological.
All
Well,
of
it's
it
very
is so over the
disassociated.
top.
it's so
Yeah.
over the top.
It's
all
like,
of it.
yeah, this is bizarre.
And
I feel like
she had taken him in
Right.
during the storm and everything. And like, but clearly she was like done and fed up, which we know is.
Yep. Most dangerous time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
After writing this entry, Zack went to the Omni Royal Hotel where the security cameras captured him approaching the edge of the roof with a drink in his hands and looking over the ledge and then backing up several times. Finally, he downed the last of his drink and then threw himself over the edge.
Wow. Oh, no.
The news of the couple's deaths left many in the city reeling. And this trauma was brought up once again when, about 10 years after Addie's murder, a woman who referred to herself as Mary Voodoo Queen Milan rented the building on Rampart Street and opened a business called the Bloody Mary Haunted Museum.
Is this the same as the business that was below, the Miriam?
No.
Isn't she Voodoo Queen?
There's
probably a
was-
lot of Voodoo Queens.
There was a different voodoo shop beneath their apartment when they lived
Oh,
there.
right. Okay. But they're not associated.
not related.
No.
Okay.
Although it was not immediately apparent that the museum, quote unquote, would focus on Addie's death, visitors soon reported that a ticket allowed you to view the apartment upstairs, which had been decorated as a kitschy haunted house covered
Not
with
okay.
blood spatter.
No, that is so fucked up. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That showcased the very stove and fridge where Addie's remains had been discovered.
That makes me physically sick. That's so fucked.
And I know that we do a true crime comedy show, so like I am aware
Yeah.
of that, and that is a line that is past the line for a lot of people, and I do understand that, although we try to do our best. But like this
Yeah.
feels awful. And I've been to haunted houses. I guess it's more like enough time has elapsed.
Well,
There's something just so purely exploitative about this particular setup.
the fake blood spatter is over
And
the
only
line to
10
me.
years after her murder.
It's not.
I went to the Velisca Axe house a month ago and
Right.
walked through the house.
I know. There's like a line somewhere, and maybe it is just like when enough time has elapsed, like the Lizzie Borden house and whatever, but like this feels
Egregious.
Yeah.
very off.
I think it's the drama of her death and dismemberment, the whole thing, the fake blood, and the fact that it was just a few years later. All of those things kind of wrapped up just makes this feel very unpalatable.
Yeah.
So friends of the couple and others in the neighborhood were outraged at the exploitation of the crime and of someone stirring up memories of something that they were still struggling to process. And
Yeah, like her parents are still living,
Yeah.
presumably. This is not, If there's still people reeling from the trauma of the crime itself, given the nature
Read the
of the
room.
crime,
yeah.
read the room.
So Milan, the haunted museum owner, defended her business, stating that she was simply educating people about the story of Hall and Bowen, and that, quote, Katrina was an important chapter, and they're an important part of that chapter. Which, like,
That's grasping at straws.
feels like a bit of a stretch, although people had started to call the case and Zack Bowen the Katrina cannibal.
Ooh.
And, like, cannibal with a K,
Right.
obviously. which
I
is
mean, he
He
horrible.
didn't eat her, though.
I think there's a part of it too that bugs me where it's like their loved ones are still very much alive.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is someone who's making money off of their trauma while like was any of that money going to the family? Was any of that money going to like mental health resources for veteran services? Like
Highly
like
doubtful.
That's what I mean. It's like if
I mean,
this-
we're
if-
making money off of this story and they're still alive.
yes, absolutely. I'm just saying
Just
we're
being
also not
honest.
giving tours of like
Right.
the murder site. I feel like there could have been a way where if this person had like collaborated somehow with the family to make sure that this was like a victim focused situation.
Right. But that's not at all what the intent of the business was. Also, it feels very offensive to voodoo practitioners. This has nothing to do with voodoo.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a horrible murder that happened to take place in New Orleans. Like a horrible toxic relationship / a veteran not getting the resources that they fucking desperately need.
Yeah.
And
None
also,
of it,
like,
none of it sits right. And enjoy this last episode of our podcast. 'cause
yeah,
we're
maybe we need to
just-
find a new career because
We're
this
out.
is very ishy and I don't like it.
I am her and she is me.
So, like we said, the focus of the museum was not on Hurricane Katrina or its victims or respectfully telling Addie's story, and rather it just attempted to lump all of that also in with like popular supernatural New Orleans legends, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And Milan also displayed like blood-spattered photographs of Zack and Addie next to images of Delphine LaLaurie, like the LaLaurie mansion, and Marie Laveau, labeling them as the city's oldest and newest spirits.
Yikes.
Do better, Milan.
It's not good.
Oh, there's a lot happening. You know, even though this isn't an unsolved mystery, as you said, there seems to be a lot that's still in question, mostly about this guy.
Well, yeah,
Just his
because
motivations
we
and
only
what he's...
have his fucking unhinged 8-page manifesto.
Yeah.
It's just so
And a lot of just like
weird.
bewildered friends and family being like,
what the fuck?
I don't know.
Not-
They were in their late 20s and in a shitty couple, but like didn't see this coming. Who could see this coming?
No one. No one. I think even when you are aware of the existence of mental health issues and struggle, and even if an individual expresses that they may become violent toward themselves or others, this is still like so far beyond the scope of imagination.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Very dark stuff.
This
Yeah.
is maybe the weirdest.
Yeah.
This is
I
top
didn't-
5 weirdest.
I didn't even realize how dark it was until I was too far down the rabbit hole to like back out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, it's horrible, but it's also kind of like fascinating. It's just, okay. So, long story short, abusive relationship ends in murder suicide. Cool. Tale as old as time.
Right. Unfortunately, very, very common.
But just the way, I don't know. This is weird.
It's fucking crazy wild. Yeah. And sad.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
don't go to that museum.
No.
That's a line for me, dog. All right.
Wow. Well, thanks. Are you ready for my case?
Probably not. I've like burst my own bubble.
You definitely have, yeah, I don't know.
Je suis deflated.
Mm-hmm.
Changed the tenor of the episode.
I'm going to put some chapstick on. Chap balm. Okay. All right. Well, let's try and get through this. Okay. So today, I'm going to be talking about Clementine Barnabet. And
Barnabé?
or Barnabé, probably.
Barnabas.
Barnabet. And I just want to
Barnabet.
state right here at the top, she is a Black woman and there is ample racism surrounding this case and how Clementine was represented, which is not okay, even when that person might be a murderer. Just getting that out.
Okay.
She's a murderer, but not because she happens to be Black.
Well, and she might not even be a murderer. So
All
we'll
right.
get to it. So Clementine has gone down in history as the first African-American serial killer, but was that actually the case? So Clementine was believed to be born around 1894 in St. Martinville, Louisiana, before her family moved to Lafayette in 1909, which is only 8 years before my grandmother was born. Shortly after moving to Lafayette, a rash of brutal murders of African-American families living along the Southern Pacific Railroad line began to occur between 1911 and 1912.
Whole families?
Whole families.
Ooh.
Ugh.
The carnage began west of Lafayette, Louisiana, in the city of Crowley. There, on February 11th, 1911, investigators found the dead bodies of Walter J. Byers, his wife, and their young son. Judging from the evidence at the crime scene, the assailant had entered the Byers' home through a back window. And the Byers, like I said, they were Black, and their home was located in the segregated, quote unquote, colored corner of the city. That's not my term. That is just historically what that was called in the time. This indicated to investigators that the killer was also likely black because a white intruder would have been like immediately noticed in the area, like any prowler. That's just not an area where white folks ever went. So reports described that the family had been quote brained with an axe, which was brazenly left at the scene. Yeah,
Not
which was left
into that phrase.
No, and it is the phrase that every newspaper used at the time. Brained.
Yeah, newspapers, old-timey
worst.
newspapers, the terminology is so
Horrifying.
graphic.
Yeah.
And like there's so much lingo.
It's not great. It's great and it's not great.
Yeah.
So the axe was left at the scene covered in blood and like tissue and brain matter, like just left there. Less than 2 weeks later, on the morning of February 4th, 1911, Nina Martin was beginning her morning routine with her son, Lesamy Felix. And Lesamy went
Damien Faye.
Damien Faye.
Lesamy.
So cute. Went next door to their Lafayette home to visit with his aunt, Mimi Andrews, who is Nina's sister. So the sisters lived next door to each other. And they both had kids, and then the cousins all played together.
Okay, Nina and Mimi.
Yeah.
Presh.
The cutest.
Lesamy Felix. Presh.
Yeah,
I know.
Lucy's really feeling this family and their names.
Well,
Mimi and Nina.
Nina is so. I could see you having a girl named Nina.
It's on my list.
so Lesamy Felix returned almost immediately, screaming that his aunt and uncle had been murdered. Nina rushed over to her sister's house and was horrified to discover that Lesamy was telling the truth. Her sister Mimi and brother-in-law Alexander, along with their son Joachim and their daughter Agnes, were found murdered exactly how the Byers had been, all brutally slashed with an axe that was then left at the scene. It appeared that the family had been killed while they slept. And they were, these were small homes, and the families often just had one room and for sleeping and shared one bed. So the family was still in the bed that they all shared. And in a gruesome tableau, Alexander and Mimi were moved post-mortem and posed in kneeling positions beside the bed as though they were praying over the children.
Oh my God.
My God. Okay, that takes the cake.
Yeah.
That is the creepiest.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
It's not
This
my
is a
fault.
lot for the morning.
Listen, I didn't know. I thought we were going to be recording this last night.
Yeah.
So I went deep into the archives.
Lucy's segment was like, and then the Spanish and
Pelicans.
maps and rivers. And
Isn't it
pelicans.
gross that there's blood on the pelican's chest?
Bleeding pelicans was the worst part of mine.
Well,
And global warming and,
yeah, that's pretty bad.
yeah, genocide and whatever.
Because these scenes were so similar, the sheriff and his men suspected that the murder of the Andrews family was also the killer of the Byers family, and the sheriff named their primary suspect a recently, according to newspapers from the time, quote, escaped lunatic named Garcon Godfrey.
Maybe Garçon?
I don't know. Sure, maybe. I'm calling him Garcon.
Garkin.
So in each of these cases, entire families were wiped out in the dead of night with an axe as the murder weapon. The choice of
posed.
Well, yeah, in at least one of these cases they were posed. We'll get to more of it.
Oh my God.
The choice of an axe appears opportunistic because it was always an axe belonging to the family. Because like that was just every family has one.
Like the fucking Velisca.
Right.
Also located near a railroad.
Which
Just
we'll
saying.
get to it, Lucy. Don't
Could
you
be
worry.
the same person.
That is a theory, and we will get to it.
The man on the train.
And we will get to it.
I'm already there, baby.
Jesus Christ.
Hit me with it.
Catch up.
Oh, okay. So, because it was always an axe belonging to the family that was killed, and therefore the same axe was never used twice. Quote, while the family was asleep, the murderer would locate and take the family axe and then break into the victim's home. Once inside, they would proceed to kill everyone in the house. Entire families were taken out all at once.
Oh my word.
It's so wild. So in a surprise to investigators, the next killing took place outside of Louisiana. On March 22nd, 1911, Louis Cassaway, his wife, and their 3 children were all killed with an axe in their home, which was located in San Antonio, Texas, which is over 400 miles away from Lafayette, Louisiana.
But close to a railroad.
Pretty close. Though the details were eerily similar, some major differences stood out. Obviously, the distance from the previous killings, but also that the previous families had been black families and the Cassaway family was mixed race. So Mrs. Cassaway was actually white and Mr. Cassaway was black, and they had biracial children together. Investigators initially believed this murder was a hate crime that targeted a mixed race family, but couldn't shake the similarities to the Louisiana cases. So the sheriff in the Louisiana investigation soon named a new suspect after ruling out Garkin Godfrey and receiving reports.
No way, it's Garkin.
I'm going for Garkin Godfrey.
Gherkin.
Sweet Gherkin Godfrey.
Love some Garkin.
I know.
That is an exclamation.
Delicious.
Sweet Gherkin Godfrey. Go to bed.
Go to bed. Call it praise.
Leslie Felix.
Sweet Leslie Felix.
Sweet Mimi Nina.
Oh, rest in peace, sweet Mimi.
Yeah.
And the sheriff had received reports of a Lafayette man who was boasting about murdering the Byers and Andrews families. The suspect
Why would you boast? Shut
it's
your
always a
goddamn mouth.
drunk guy at the bar.
I mean, I don't know.
why would you murder a whole family? But also,
why would you murder a whole family? Why would you boast? And I'm still not convinced that this is the right person.
Right.
So it's like,
yeah, could have been somebody just trying to sound tough.
exactly. So that individual is Raymond Barnabet. Garkin Raymond Barnabet.
Lord.
Now Raymond was a black man in 1911, so reports naming him as, quote, a petty criminal with a long rap sheet and a violent temper, which we still use those fucking buzzwords today, should be taken with a bucket of salt.
Mm-hmm.
But it was mighty compelling to investigators when his lover came forward to tell them that Raymond had told her he'd murdered these families during a heated argument, possibly to frighten her. So, like, not murdered them during a heated argument with them, but he told her while in a heated argument with his partner that he had murdered these families, and he could possibly have been saying that to
he was like, watch out.
scare her. Exactly.
Watch the slap.
Exactly. So this was all the sheriff needed to make an arrest. So Raymond was taken into custody in the fall of 1911 and charged for the Louisiana and San Antonio murders. His daughter Clementine and son Zephyrin both testified against him in court, claiming to have seen their father return home covered in blood on more than one occasion.
Wow.
Their testimony, plus a whole lot of racism, was plenty for the jury to convict Raymond Barnabet of murder in October of 1911.
Why do we sound so suspicious that he did this?
Why do we sound suspicious that he did it?
Yeah.
Or that he didn't do it?
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand the question.
Well,
like, why do I sound like...
Do we think that the girlfriend and his children were coerced to testify?
No.
Do we think that he was a shitty, violent dude that maybe didn't kill these people?
I honestly have no idea. And the reason I don't think he did it is coming right now.
Okay.
So a month later, while Raymond is behind bars, the axe murderer strikes again.
Oh.
On November 27th, 1911, the bodies of Norbert Randall and his wife Azima and their 4 children were found inside of their home in Lafayette. 8-year-old Albert, 6-year-old Renee, 5-year-old Norbert Jr., and 2-year-old Agnes had been beaten to death with the blunt side of the axe, while Norbert and Azima were, as they keep fucking saying in reports, brained with the axe.
Jesus Christ. But also the names in this case are
so exquisite.
Stellar.
Amazing.
The murder weapon was once again left at the crime scene, though this time the axe had been partially washed.
Also, isn't this a second child victim named Agnes?
I think previously Agnes might have been one of the parents, but this is a second Agnes victim for sure. I don't know if it's a child, again, with the same name, but definitely 2 with the same name. The town went into an immediate panic as the realization that they had likely jailed the wrong man and the killer was still at large was like sinking in. So about 150 residents rallied at the Good Hope Baptist Church in Lafayette to discuss their safety, encourage each other to sleep with weapons nearby, and demand action from the police. Yeah, yeah, right? That's what as I was reading this, I was like,
really stupid advice.
That's what I was thinking as I read that note. I was like, They're encouraging you to just provide more murder weapons for the person who is
You could
using,
sleep with your axe under your pillow.
and then it'd be harder to get.
Right. Better than your axe being like outside.
Wasn't this
Your front
an
door.
idea,
In the shed.
an original idea for an episode? Remember before we started this podcast?
We've done an axe murders episode.
No, not axes, but like murderers who use one's own weapons against them.
Yeah, opportunistic.
Yeah.
but
for
like
sure.
as an MO.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do
And
that
that's,
as an
I mean,
episode
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
basically what's happening here.
Ted
So they also wanted more action from the police to keep the community safe. The mob demanded the Barnabé children be investigated because, you know, they put the patriarch of the family in jail and they're not going to look for other suspects. So it must be someone in the family.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So police returned to the Barnabé family home in search of new evidence, and they found several sets of bloody clothes belonging to 17-year-old Clementine. Blood was also found on the door leading to Clementine's room. Although few believed then that a 17-year-old woman could carry out such gruesome crimes, Clementine was arrested and sent to the same Lafayette Parish jail as her father, Raymond. With both of them behind bars, the community expected the killings to stop, but they didn't.
Oh my God, this poor girl.
Let
Yep.
them both out. Jesus Christ.
Well, and like the thing is, these are marginalized individuals who have to like labor to survive. And so, quite frankly, finding evidence of like blood when families are slaughtering their own meat, raising their own chickens, like, and we don't have a way to test it, is
It
kind of
also
like
sounds like, well, I mean, this guy also might have been abusive. Like
Absolutely,
you
could have
know,
been.
Abuse is very common nowadays, very common back then.
totally.
And, you know, his partner had testified against him. So, I mean, it could just be from abuse in the home. that
Yeah,
there's
it
blood.
sounds like really shoddy detective work
I mean,
anyway.
exactly.
So who's to even say that there was blood on the fucking
Right.
doorway?
Exactly.
Also
and we'll
very
kind
possible.
of get to that too. So they're both behind bars. The community expects these killings to stop, but they don't. In January of 1912, the Broussard family of Lake Charles, Louisiana, met a similar but clearly escalated fate.
Oh.
Quote, the murdered Broussard children had their blood drained into buckets left at the side of their beds. A message written in blood was left on one of the home's walls. It read, quote, when he maketh the inquisition for blood, he forgetteth not the cry of the humble, end quote.
How are both of these cases in this episode so bonkers and
Louisiana,
dark
baby!
blood written in messages and
Well,
I'm upset with both.
yeah.
what
It's
a way
wild.
to start the day.
It's a,
I have
I'm
to go to
awake
the airport
now.
later and pretend to be normal.
Fair.
Oh, God.
So for decades, this inscription was cited as coming from Psalms 9:12 of the King James Bible. However, the King James Bible actually reads, when he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. The biblical quotation left behind at the Broussard crime scene was actually taken from the novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, which had originally misquoted the verse.
Interesting. Okay.
So immediately the media went wild with what we've come to call satanic panic. So newspapers wrote many sensational pieces about the children being used as sacrifices. They reported that the words human 5 were found written on the walls as well, like a signature. These claims were, it's like they weren't super substantiated, but I don't know if this is true. Because like every
Because
single
of the time period, the
Exactly.
investigation, you like can't trust what is said. You can't
There's no
trust what's
photo.
left out. Yeah, exactly.
there's photos of Clementine. There are no photos of these crime scenes.
How
So, like-
popular was Uncle Tom's Cabin when it came out?
I have no idea.
I think it was pretty popular.
Yeah, so having a copy of Uncle Tom's Cabin wouldn't really narrow it down much.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know, but this was floating around. Whether or not there was stuff written in blood on the walls, which I don't not believe that that's true. that story then in the hands of the media is just getting wildly sensationalized.
Uncle
And so-
Tom's Cabin was a runaway bestseller. It sold 10,000 copies in its first week.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So these claims in the paper were unsubstantiated, and the paper spread racist vitriol about voodoo worshipers being responsible for the murders because obviously the families are Black families and they're looking at a Black suspect. So this is how we're going to paint this. You'd think this would be the perfect way for Clementine and Raymond to get released from jail because now more murders are happening while they're clearly not responsible.
Yeah.
And for Raymond,
They're
it
probably
was.
not even being told that, though.
I mean,
How would they know that more murders are happening while they're in jail?
well, the community was getting more and more pissed off because they're still dying. And so,
Right.
I think they knew. And Raymond actually was released.
Okay.
They were like, clearly this isn't you. And I think they offered
They kept her?
Well, I think they offered the same to Clementine. However, Clementine, even though she was behind bars during the Broussard family murders, she confessed to having a hand in the killings from afar and that she was responsible for more murders than the public even knew about. She claimed involvement in the murder of some 35 people between 1911 and 1912, and that she worked with several accomplices who were part of the voodoo cult, though she could never identify any of these alleged accomplices.
So this is just
I think it's a load of
fucking
shit.
Bunch of bullshit.
coerced
Mm-hmm.
confession. Oh,
Quote, after her confession, Clementine was examined by several doctors, read several white doctors, most of whom deduced that she was perfectly sane and therefore telling the truth and able to maintain her sentence.
Yeah, perfectly sane people do false confessions all the time, especially when all the cards are stacked against them.
Right.
Via
She's a
age,
17-year-old
race,
girl.
gender,
Yeah.
privilege,
She's a girl.
education.
Mm-hmm. She's a kid.
She's a child.
Oh my God. This
Due
is
to
so
the
horrible.
severity of her crimes, Clementine was sent to the infamous Angola State Penitentiary near the Louisiana state capital of Red Stick, Baton Rouge.
Angola, that prison is supposed to be.
It's bad.
The worst prison in the
Yeah.
country.
So Clementine's confession also seemed to bolster what the newspapers had been saying about the murderer's ritualistic tendencies. She claimed to be part of a secret cult called the Church of Sacrifice. Quote, this cult and its secretive Human Five gang were supposedly part of the Christ-sanctified Holy Church, an evangelical church headed by a man named King Harrison. The church could be found all along the Southern Pacific Railroad, and according to Clementine's confession, Harrison encouraged his congregation to use lethal discipline against any wayward members. Clementine also told Louisiana authorities that she was a voodoo sorceress who enjoyed supernatural protection from her punishment, end quote.
You can just see where and what words and evidence they fed to her to get her to say these things. What made you do the human sacrifice? What church made the Church of Sacrifice?
Yeah.
Why did you write Human Five? What gang are you with? Oh, we're the Human Five gang.
Yeah. And you may be shocked to find out that there was no evidence whatsoever to back up these claims of this church existing, of this King Harrison person existing, any of it. Any of it. But the cops had someone behind bars, so she remained in jail for crimes that it is entirely unlikely she committed, based on confessions she made that were likely coerced, influenced by the media around her, and the fact that, her stories kept changing, with the original being that her father was the murderer. She implicated her father at first, paired with clearly or likely some undiagnosed mental health issues from trauma that she's experiencing.
Yeah.
All wrapped up in a neat little bow of racism to just keep everything in a tight little package.
Yeah.
So she
plain
stayed
old
in prison.
Fear.
She's also fucking
She's
17.
a kid. Yeah. So, quote, in 1942, when the Federal Writers Project wrote down the history of Clementine's trial, they noted that confusion was the one constant in the case. It's like some Brendan Dassey shit.
Yeah.
In fact, given that newspapers had already suggested that a voodoo cult was behind the murders, Clementine could have been influenced by such coverage and cooked up the Church of Sacrifice as part of her confession, or been led down that path.
Yeah.
Tragically, after Clementine's story circulated around the Southeast, many white citizens began to suspect their black neighbors belonged to the murderous sacrifice church. This belief led to a handful of violent encounters and false arrests, end quote.
Yeah, be afraid of the people that you enslaved.
Mm-hmm. And who are now being murdered in their homes. So Clementine ended up being the only quote-unquote suspect to serve any time for these murders that she most likely had nothing to do with at all. And to further solidify to the community that she was responsible, the Lafayette Advisor printed her full confession in the paper on April 5th, 1912, but added at the end, quote, Clementine's confession has been received with varying shades of belief, owing to the positive way she swore in the trial of her father and the misleading information she has given as to her accomplices. But we're just going to print this whole thing.
She can't keep her confession straight because they're
it's
just
not
feeding her different
true.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. She made a failed attempt at escape in 1913, but this was pretty quickly, like, forgiven. Like, they were just like, okay,
I feel
get
like
back
they used
here.
to not give a shit about escape attempts. They were just like, fair enough.
Yeah,
This is shitty.
exactly. And in 1918, she began work, which I say in quotes, i.e. prison enslavement, as a cane cutter, which meant she spent time outside of the walls of the prison under pretty minimal supervision, but she did not make any other attempts to escape. She was released in August of 1923 for good behavior after serving 12 years, and there wasn't a trace of her in the news or the history books after that. We don't know when or where she died, how old she was. She just, poof, was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to be known for this.
Right,
No.
I'm
Thing I
hoping-
never did.
Exactly. I'm hoping she just, like, went
Assumed
to live
a
a
new
quiet life
identity.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Got
You know.
married maybe, changed her name.
Yeah, that's what I hope for her. With historians largely believing that Clementine was innocent, many theorize that the true culprit was Paul Mueller,
Here we go.
a German immigrant who many believe to be the deadliest serial killer in American history, though we may never know because his kill count cannot be confirmed. His MO was to ride the railways across the U.S. and Canada, murdering along the way with axes he found in people's homes. He remains a suspect in one of Lucy's favorite mysteries, the Villisca Axe murders.
The
most
man on the
honestly,
train, baby.
Yeah, that's like the most likely thing. But it's also one of those
Wow.
things too where it's like the man on the train kind of reminds me of Israel Keyes in the sense that like true crime enthusiasts
Will attribute a lot.
every time there's an unsolved axe murder in history, it's like, wow, it was probably Paul Mueller. You know what I mean?
Well, and also there's
This one kind of fits, though.
It totally fits. I think it was.
yeah. But also
I'm one of those enthusiasts.
it's impossible to know how many serial killers that we are not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be two different people because honestly,
Yeah.
it's not that original of an idea to ride the trains around the country
No,
and kill
it's not.
people in their own
Like
homes.
killing entire families for no reason, like not stealing anything and then posing bodies and then draining bodies of blood. Like
Yeah,
that is
that's pretty MO
This person,
specific.
I mean, this was outrageous. The posing, the psalm, the draining of the blood.
But there was creepy shit in the Villisca house too. Didn't they like cover
Not
the
like
mirrors
that.
and
yeah, but that's
It's not the
that's
same.
different. Yeah,
it's not the same. But there could have been some, like you said, if it was multiple
Escalation.
people or
elements of drama.
escalation, yeah, trying different things and then influences by the region that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're some white murderer terrorizing a black neighborhood in Louisiana where like white folks are already stereotyping, you know,
well, yeah, you choose
like
more.
West
It's like
African
serial killers
ritual. Yeah.
go after, street sex workers and survival sex workers because they're the most marginalized people and it's easiest to get away with it.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not going to rule out that it was the same guy or someone from that sort of like
It
network of
definitely
people on
wasn't
trains.
fucking Clementine.
It wasn't. That's
wasn't
all that
Clementine.
matters was it was not her.
It was not fucking Clementine.
Not
I was
even
also
close.
thinking, like you said, they suspected that the murderer was black because they occurred in black neighborhoods where white
But it was
people
at
would
night.
stick out.
Exactly.
It was at night. It's also not. it's not that hard to conceal your whiteness if that is your intention.
It's not. And also, what are these black families going to do? Ask the police to come help them? Like,
no.
What are they honestly, what are they expected to do if a white individual comes into what?
Right.
There's nowhere that black people are safe. There certainly was not at that time. There still isn't now. So like that was the theory among police, but that's
I think they meant
pretty
because
weak
there
theory.
weren't witnesses coming forward and saying I saw a white guy, but also like it would be pretty tough to come forward and say that even nowadays.
So yeah, I mean, again, it's just like, it was so sad to read this and go, oh yeah, nothing's changed. Like we're still doing this in our justice system.
After more than 100 years.
Yeah, to marginalize
110
individuals.
years later.
Yeah. Like, it's fucked. So anyway, Clementine, you didn't do it.
You didn't
and we
do
know
it.
you didn't
I
do
hope
it.
I'm sorry you served 12 years. That fucking sucks. I hope you went on and had a fabulous life after that.
That is my prayer. And that's my case.
All right. Well,
Can we be done now?
fucking Louisiana is off the rails.
Off the rails.
Yeah. But
Well,
interesting.
thanks, Taylor.
It was a fascinating episode.
I still want to go back to New Orleans.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And maybe Baton Rouge. I don't know. Never been.
I've
Good
never seen a
ol'
red
red
stick in my
stick.
life. I'm ready.
Mwah.
Thank you, Taylor. We love you.
Yep. See you next week.
Bye-bye.